Well, it's been a long time since we have had to do this, but here we go. Ladies and gentlemen, Behind the Line proudly presents to you another exciting edition of the Woke. Turning on the Woke. This episode is brought to you by the Boodle Soother. Are you suffering from a highly painful, severely bruised caboose? Are you struggling to sell tickets to your nicely polished turd? If your caboose is so bruised it's scared to be a tutor, get instant relief today with the Boodle Soother. Boodle Soother comes in a variety of shapes and sizes. Miniature tubes for beginners, average size for mild bruising, and the new and improved super-sized tube for maximum soothing. Start feeling relief today at boodlesoother.com. Make sure to like and subscribe. You can follow me on Twitter at KC_BTL84. The World Cup, one of the biggest events in the world. Some claim that the World Cup is even bigger than the Super Bowl. With an event of this magnitude, and especially with it taking place in America, the richest country in the world, you would think that the World Cup would have no problem selling tickets. But for some reason, FIFA is having a very hard time convincing Americans to pay to watch soccer. Headline at Newsweek: thousands of World Cup tickets remain unsold, including USA games. You ever heard that old saying, desperate times call for desperate measures? One of the problems with acting out of desperation, your decisions are based on emotion. And when it comes to business, in most cases, emotional decisions are no bueno. When you're feeling desperate, when you're under a lot of pressure, you make decisions that you normally wouldn't make. Like choosing one of the most hated, one of the most despised, someone who has go-away heat damn near everywhere in America. And she definitely has go-away heat in the nest that she used to share with the Sue Bird. FIFA is so desperate to sell tickets to the World Cup that, in their heightened emotional state, they thought it would be a good idea to hire Megan Rapinoe to beg people to buy tickets. Meg Rapinoe? The Megster? The inspiration for prepubescent boys? Last I checked, prepubescent boys don't have money. They have to ask daddy for money, and when daddy sees Megan Rapinoe on the TV, the only thing he is willing to pay for is a remote control to get Meg Rapinoe off my TV. Earlier this week, FIFA uploaded a promotional video on their Instagram account, and they had Meg Rapinoe share the video with the 2 million identifiers who follow her. My inside sources are telling me that Meg Rapinoe believes that most of her Instagram followers are non-binary, and for once, Uncle Casey actually agrees with the Megster, because I would imagine that most of her followers are bots. Now, whether her followers are real or fake, I don't know. What I do know is, hardly anyone watched this turd that FIFA produced where Meg Rapinoe is begging people to buy overpriced tickets to the World Cup. And the very few who actually did watch, they turned on Meg Rapinoe and accused her of selling out to the capitalist system. Watch it for yourself.
With hospitality, you get a guaranteed ticket with premium seating. With hospitality, you get a ticket plus dedicated entry, unlimited food and drinks, and plenty of time before and after the match to enjoy it all. You get to experience the best of the beautiful game.
This video was uploaded 2 days ago. Now, as of the recording of the video you're watching right now, the Megster had generated less than 1,000 likes, 18 comments. And most of the 18 comments, They came from financially challenged identifiers accusing Meg Rapinoe of being a sellout. This is outrageous! Our communist idol sold out to corporate America! Why aren't you demanding that FIFA lower ticket prices? Why aren't you demanding that FIFA let us in for free? I have to wipe my ass with leaves because I can't afford toilet paper. How am I supposed to afford tickets for the World Cup? Believe it or not, the identifiers have a point. Meg Rapinoe has spent the last decade advocating for equity. She has demonized the capitalist system here in America, unless, of course, she's benefiting from it. But as is always the case, there is no such thing as equity in business. FIFA set ticket prices for the World Cup with the intention of maximizing profitability. Problem is, FIFA overvalued themselves in the American market. America's first game will be next month in SoFi Stadium in Los Angeles. Now, you gotta remember, it's already a struggle to get normal people to visit the People's Republic of California. Over the last few years, Gabby Newsom has been trying to build a wall around the People's Republic to prevent his subjects from escaping. Remember when the Trumper 10 or so years ago was claiming that Mexico was going to pay for the wall? He wasn't lying. Mexico is trying to keep Californians from invading their country and bringing the woke fungus with them. Tickets for America's first game in the World Cup are selling for $1,000. Now, those are not the average price. That is the nosebleed seats. These are the seats at the top of the stadium where you are so high you can touch the moon. Over the last few days, tickets for Team USA have declined 30%. The average ticket price for the World Cup down 24%. Hell, there are some games where tickets are selling for less than $100. The overpriced tickets, the abundance of greed from FIFA, it is having a devastating impact on the service industry in the 16 cities that are hosting World Cup games. Check it out for yourself. This graph shows underperforming hotels in each city that is hosting the World Cup. 88% of the hotels in Kansas City failing to meet expectations. 75% for San Francisco, Seattle, Boston, Philadelphia. Last year, FIFA released a report that claimed that the World Cup was going to create 185,000 jobs. It would add $17 billion to the American economy. Now, these hotels, they bit into the shit sandwich and prepared for a massive influx of tourists. But here we are, a few weeks away from the World Cup. 70% of the bookings in some of these cities have already been canceled. International travelers, they are staying home. Hotels, they are scrambling to figure out what the hell they're going to do. In most cases, I would imagine that we are going to see massive layoffs. Now, in fairness to FIFA, I'm sure some of this can be blamed on the global economy. Due to the ongoing war in Iran, airline travel has become prohibitively expensive for a lot of people. If you're living in Europe, you're paying $1,000 for a flight to America, hotel for a week, that'll cost you $1,500, $2,000. Then you got to buy tickets to the actual games. If you're traveling from Europe, you're not going to come all the way over here just to go to one game. By the time you have spent a week in America to watch the World Cup, you're looking at spending $15,000, $20,000. If you live in America, you're looking at maybe half that cost. But are you willing to spend $5,000, $10,000 for the World Cup? I'm not. And for me, it's not really about the money. To me, the World Cup isn't worth that kind of money. If this were the Super Bowl and my Saints were playing, I'd spend $5,000, $10,000 to go to the Super Bowl. Wouldn't think twice about it. Why? As you get older, and especially if you're a sports fan, you realize that you have a limited number of opportunities in your lifetime to see your team in the Super Bowl, or the NBA Finals, the World Series, the Stanley Cup Finals. I'm 41 years old. My Saints have been to the Super Bowl once in my lifetime. When they went in 2009, I didn't have the money to go. Now that I'm more financially secure, if they ever make it again, I don't care how much it costs. I am paying for the experience. For most people in America, the World Cup just isn't one of those events. FIFA is pricing themselves out of the market. Although the popularity of soccer has grown in America, it's still not one of our major sports. Hell, the NHL is more popular than Major League Soccer in America. I'm not traveling across the country to spend $1,000 on nosebleed seats. Would I spend $1,000 to support Team USA and sit 5, 10 rows up from the field? Maybe. I might pay for that experience. But if that were the case, it would mean that the nosebleed seats are selling for $100, $200, which would also mean that thousands of seats would not still be available. When America hosted the World Cup back in 1994, average ticket $58. Now, adjusted for inflation, average ticket for the World Cup was around $130. Now, that's reasonable. Even if it was $230, that would still be reasonable. Problem is, the average ticket for the World Cup today, over $1,600, and they wonder why no one is willing to buy it. Look, it's not just FIFA that has been overtaken by greed. Over the last few years, sports leagues have been exploiting the consumer. It has never been more expensive to watch sports. The days of dad taking his son to the game, having a father-son moment for $100 or $200, those days are gone. Even something like WWE, which always had affordable tickets when Vince McMahon was the owner of the company, you can't take your kid to simulated fights for less than $500. I think people are getting tired of it. I think fans are tired of being exploited. Sound off in the comments below. I'll see you guys tomorrow.